Your brain has a secret mode. When activated, you become 500% more productive, creativity explodes, and time literally stops existing. Scientists have mapped exactly how to trigger it, and almost nobody knows. In 1975, a Hungarian psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi became obsessed with a question that nobody could answer. Why do some people become so absorbed in what they're doing that they forget to eat, forget to sleep, forget that time even exists? He interviewed artists who painted for 18 hours straight without noticing, chess masters who forgot their own names during matches, rock climbers who described hanging from cliffs as the most peaceful moments of their lives. What he discovered would take decades to understand fully. There was a specific mental state, a neurological configuration that separated extraordinary human performance from ordinary effort. He called it flow. But here's what most people don't realize about Csikszentmihalyi's research. He wasn't just studying productivity. He was mapping the architecture of human happiness itself. And the implications would challenge everything we thought we knew about what makes life worth living. Let me put this in perspective. During normal waking consciousness, your brain operates like a committee meeting. Multiple regions argue with each other. Your inner critic evaluates every thought. Your anxiety center scans for threats. Your memory banks pull up past failures. It's noisy, inefficient, and exhausting. But when you enter flow state, something remarkable happens. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for self-criticism and time awareness, actually shuts down. Neuroscientists call this transient hypofrontality. Your brain literally turns off the parts that make you doubt yourself. Suddenly, there's no inner critic, no sense of past or future, no self-consciousness, just pure, effortless action. Research from McKinsey found that executives in flow were 500% more productive than baseline. 500%. That's not a marginal improvement. That's a completely different category of human performance. If you've been watching this far, drop a like because this is just the beginning. But here's where it gets strange. Pause twos. The more Csikszentmihalyi studied flow, the more he realized it wasn't random. It followed predictable patterns. And the people who experienced it most frequently weren't necessarily the most talented or intelligent. They were the ones who unknowingly arranged their lives around specific triggers. Now imagine you're a surgeon performing a 12-hour operation. Your patient's life hangs in the balance. One wrong cut means death. This should be terrifying, paralyzing. But elite surgeons report these moments as the peak experiences of their lives. Not stressful, not draining. Music shift, transcendent. The apparent contradiction puzzled researchers for years. How could life or death situations create calm instead of panic? The answer lies in a delicate balance that most people never achieve. Challenge versus skill. And getting this ratio wrong is why 90% of people never experience true flow. Csikszentmihalyi mapped what he called the flow channel. Picture a graph. On one axis, you have the challenge level of your task. On the other, your skill level. If the challenge far exceeds your skills, you experience anxiety. If your skills far exceed the challenge, you experience boredom. But there's a narrow channel where challenge and skill are perfectly matched, where the task is difficult enough to require full attention, but not so difficult that it triggers panic. SFX, dramatic sound. This is flow territory. And this is where I need you to pay attention. The channel isn't static. As your skills improve, you need greater challenges to stay in flow. This is why video games are so addictive. They automatically adjust difficulty to keep you in the channel. It's why beginning guitar players experience flow learning simple chords, but experienced musicians need complex pieces. The implication is profound. Boredom and anxiety aren't character flaws. They're signals that your challenge skill ratio is miscalibrated. But that's not even the most important discovery. Pause twos. After 40 years of research, scientists identified 7 specific triggers that can force your brain into flow state on demand. And this changes everything. The first trigger is intense concentration, not casual attention. Complete, undivided focus on a single task. The second is clear goals. Your brain needs to know exactly what success looks like, moment to moment. Third is immediate feedback. You must know instantly whether you're succeeding or failing. Think about why surgeons enter flow. The goal is clear: save the patient. The feedback is immediate: vital signs, tissue response, blood flow. The concentration is total, no distractions allowed. But here's what nobody expected. The most powerful flow trigger isn't skill-related at all. It's environmental, and modern life has systematically destroyed it. What would you do if you discovered your daily habits were actively preventing flow? Stay with me because the next trigger explains why most people will never experience peak performance. The fourth trigger is the one that explains why most knowledge workers never experience flow. It's called deep embodiment, physical engagement with your environment. When you type on a keyboard, you're barely embodied. When a rock climber grips stone, every nerve ending is alive. This is why craftspeople, athletes, and musicians report more flow than office workers. Their bodies are fully engaged. SFX, dramatic sound, and then it got worse. Modern smartphones interrupt us every 4 minutes on average. Each interruption takes 23 minutes to recover from. Do the math. We're never recovering. We're never reaching flow. Trigger 5 is the risk of failure. Real stakes. Without genuine consequences, your brain won't allocate the resources needed for flow. Trigger 6 is novelty. Your brain craves new information, new patterns, new challenges. Trigger 7 is creativity, combining ideas in unexpected ways. Think about that for a second. 7 triggers. Most environments prevent all of them. We've engineered flow out of modern life. Now imagine your Csikszentmihalyi in the 1990s, realizing something disturbing. The happiest people he studied weren't the wealthiest or most successful by conventional measures. They were the ones who experienced the most flow. Surgeons, artists, farmers, athletes, even assembly line workers who turned their monotonous jobs into skill-building games. Flow wasn't just about performance. It was the source of what he called optimal experience. The moments humans describe as the best moments of their lives. Not vacations, not achievements, not possessions. Pause twos, the moments of complete absorption when self disappeared and action and awareness merged. I want you to remember this part. What if happiness isn't something you find? What if it's something you engineer? What if the secret to a meaningful life isn't changing what you do, but changing how you do it? By arranging flow triggers around any activity, even mundane ones, people transformed ordinary existence into extraordinary experience. But researchers discovered something else, something darker. Flow has a shadow side. The state is so pleasurable that it can become addictive. Extreme athletes chase increasingly dangerous thrills. Workaholics justify destruction of relationships by claiming they were in flow. Video game designers deliberately exploit flow mechanics to create compulsive engagement. The same neurochemical cocktail that makes flow so productive, dopamine, norepinephrine, endorphins, anandamide, and serotonin, also makes it dangerously compelling. This is why Csikszentmihalyi emphasized autotelic activities. Activities pursued for their own sake, not for external rewards. The healthiest flow practitioners weren't using the state to achieve fame or fortune. They were experiencing it as an end in itself. The process was the reward. And this distinction separates a sustainable peak performance from burnout disguised as excellence. Here's how to engineer your environment for sustainable flow. First, eliminate interruption triggers ruthlessly. Phone in another room. Notifications disabled. Door closed. Your brain needs 90 minutes of uninterrupted time to reach deep flow. Second, calibrate challenge and skill weekly. If you're bored, increase difficulty. If you're anxious, build skills or reduce scope. Third, build in immediate feedback loops. Don't wait for annual reviews. Create systems that tell you instantly how you're performing. Fourth, add physical components whenever possible. Stand, move, use your hands, get your body involved. Fifth, and this is what most miss, define clear micro goals. Not just the project outcome, but what success looks like in the next 20 minutes, the next hour. The clarity creates focus, and focus creates flow. These aren't productivity hacks. They're neurological necessities. Your brain is designed for flow. Modern life has just made it nearly impossible to achieve. And here's what nobody expected about where this research led. In the decades since Csikszentmihalyi's initial findings, flow science has expanded into every field imaginable. Military special forces use flow protocols for combat performance. Silicon Valley engineers design products around flow mechanics. Olympic coaches structure training to maximize flow exposure. The implications go beyond individual performance. Organizations that create flow-rich environments outperform competitors by extraordinary margins. Schools that integrate flow principles see dramatic improvements in learning outcomes. The science of human excellence isn't mysterious anymore. It's mapped, understood, and reproducible. The question isn't whether you can experience flow. Everyone can. The question is whether you'll deliberately architect your life around the conditions that make it possible, or continue letting modern distractions steal your potential for optimal experience. Let me leave you with Csikszentmihalyi's most profound insight. He spent his childhood in World War II Europe, watching adults around him lose everything, including their minds. Some collapsed into despair. Others somehow remained purposeful, engaged, even content despite circumstances. This observation drove his entire career. What makes some humans thrive under any conditions? Pause twos, the answer was flow. Those who maintained inner order, who found activities that challenged and absorbed them, who created meaning through engaged action, they survived intact. Flow wasn't a luxury for comfortable times. It was a psychological survival mechanism. The research suggests that your capacity for peak performance and your capacity for well-being are the same thing. When you structure life around flow, you don't just accomplish more. You become more fully human. That's the hidden message in 40 years of research on human excellence. Mastery and meaning were never separate pursuits. They were always one path. Now you understand why peak performance and human happiness share the same neurological signature. The 7 flow triggers, the challenge-skill balance, the architecture of optimal experience. The question is what you'll do with this knowledge. If you've stayed until now, you're clearly someone who thinks deeply about how to live well. Subscribe for more insights like this, and tell me in the comments, which of the 7 triggers is most missing from your current life? That answer might reveal exactly where your untapped potential is waiting.